When the seat expires, then we need to cut the straps. We need to write expired on it. We need to pull the padding off of it. It should not be set out by the side of the road. If a seat is not safe for your child, it's not safe for any child. Mm-hmm. So you want to dispose of it where there's no question that this thing should not be used anymore.
Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to this episode of Mom Talks with Krista. Today is all about car seat safety. So I've invited Michelle Pratt from Safe in the Seat, who's a nationally certified technician, to answer all of our questions about car seat safety. She's gonna go over everything that you should look for when it comes to buying a car seat. Also covering questions for when it comes to expiration dates, what you should follow, recycling car seats, and what you should know before looking at used car seats. So I'm really excited for this. It has been a highly requested and highly debated topic. So here we go.
Just to get started, I always like people to just go ahead and just introduce yourself, what you do, your hobbies, your job, and we'll kind of go from there.
Okay, so I'm Michelle Pratt. I'm not sure that I have many hobbies other than, raising my two children. I like to read and go to the beach and do all of those things that were from a former life. The majority of the time when I'm not raising my two kids, I'm working with families and through social media on educating people about car seat safety.
That's awesome. And so when I found your page, I was like, this is something we have a private Facebook group and we get so many questions about car seat safety that you wouldn't believe. And so when I saw your page, I was like, this is exactly what the moms in the group need to see and need to hear. They probably didn't even realize it was out there. So I think it's amazing.
Yeah, this whole world of car seat safety, we all want to do the absolute best we can to keep our kids safe. Like, it's just a natural motherhood instinct no matter what. And car seat safety it's really complicated. And there are so many facets to it. And then as our kids grow, things change. And it's just a lot. So I'm hopeful that we can definitely help your audience to answer some of the sort of generalized questions. And then there's a lot of specifics that come with it, but at least we can guide them to the resources that will be helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. So when and why did you get into car seat safety?
So, I never would have told you this is what I would be doing if you would have asked me this even like 5 years ago. So I was in the nonprofit world for almost 15 years, then had my first child, and I'm super type A, anal, I thought I was totally prepared, had my Excel spreadsheet, checked everything off, to get ready for baby. And when we were leaving the hospital, I was I had a very intense labor. I had to be induced, and it was like a 26-hour labor. It was a lot. I was certain they would help me buckle Jake, is his name, my son, in the car seat. Or I thought it would be just intuitive. Like, I bought the car seat. How hard can it be to put this baby in there? Well, it was a lot harder than I realized. And at least at the hospital where we were, and this is the case in much of the country, the nurses were not allowed to help us. So that sort of started a little bit of like, this is interesting. I feel like I really prepared as much as you can for motherhood. And yet the greatest risk to our kids is driving with them in the car. And I don't know how to make sure that my son is properly restrained. So that sort of started it. And then randomly, my son had a concrete bird bath fall on his head when he was 3. And it was a completely freak accident. I couldn't have, though of course, like any mom does, I've thought through like how I could have possibly not let that happen, but it really was out of my control. And I sat at the other side of that bed at the hospital when we were still very unsure of what the outcomes were going to be with his brain swelling and all that stuff. And I just sat there and I thought, as I was working through this other, car seat stuff in the progression, I don't ever want a mom to feel the way that I'm feeling right now and to say, I wish I would have known, if only I've known, if I knew who to ask, if I wasn't embarrassed to ask, if I wasn't shamed to ask. I knew that was one element where I could have control with my kids. And I just felt really strongly that I didn't want any other parent at least as it relates to car seat safety, to feel like they were out of control. I wanted to help parents check this off the list.
So for moms watching that and maybe pregnant right now with their first, what are the key things that they should look for when buying a car seat? Because I know there's so many types out there, brands, all that. So what do you recommend?
So, I mean, we're all very susceptible to what's called like proximity advice. So, we go to the circle right around us and either purchase the car seat that our other mom friends have, like guilty for my first one for sure, or the most expensive, or the one that's prettiest. I mean, it's usually one of those three things why people are purchasing a car seat, unless it's been like passed down to them. That might be another reason. What I encourage people to do is actually start with their vehicle. So often I think it would be like if we're in a living room and all of a sudden I said, I want to buy a new couch, but I don't measure the room or how I'm going to get the couch into the house. That's very similar with car seats. Not all car seats fit in all cars, and not all car seats meet the needs of every family or every child. So I tell people to start with the vehicle first, which is completely foreign, and I never would have thought of it either. But to understand the vehicle, like the spacing, even where you think you're going to want to put the child obviously in the back seat, but in what position, the other passengers in the car. If we have really tall caregivers, parents, we need to take that into consideration, because most often the car seat can't be hitting the seats in front of it. Are there other children in the car that we need to make sure that their car seats are secured safely? And then, fit and budget. And then I tell people to get into the features, all of those added safety features and ease of use features. So it's like working backwards, I think, is the most beneficial. And be careful of who you ask. When we go to stores, people are paid to sell. So, we all kind of get caught up in that. So I think if you work that process backwards, it'll help you narrow down what's most important to you. And then you can line up the car seats that meet those needs.
I know they expire. So kind of just a little bit about what the recommended for expiration dates are, because I know obviously food and, different things have expirations. So how closely do we stick to expiration dates? Is it okay to take, a car seat from someone that's close to expiration? So what kind of requirements around the expiration date?
Expiration dates are pretty hard and fast. I don't want anybody to use a seat that's past its expiration date. Of course, in this complicated world of car seat safety, it's sometimes not that easy to know what your expiration date is. There's always a label on your car seat somewhere, and sometimes it lists the date of expiration. We are, as technicians, really trying to get manufacturers to please list the date of expiration on those labels, but it does always list the date of manufacture. And then you can cross-reference it with your manual for how many years from the date of manufacture. Some are from date of purchase. Again, I can't make up this stuff. I tell people call the manufacturer. If you ever have any questions, the folks, unlike a lot of places that we call where we have to push in 800 buttons until we speak to an actual person, the car seat manufacturers are equipped with support service that's really helpful. So stick to the expiration dates. In terms of if you're getting a seat passed down to you, or you're going to use one with if you're expanding your family and you're going to use it later on, you just kind of have to map out the timing of that, if you're going to be able to utilize it throughout the period of its expiration. It's also why I don't recommend people get their second stage convertible car seat at their baby shower, because you're using up a year to potentially 2 years of expiration on that car seat that we could have used, because it's sitting in your house. And it could have been manufactured even a year before that. So I tell people, if that's a possibility, get the gift cards to purchase it later on. Because, materials deteriorate over time. We have technology advances. There can be damage to the seat over time. It's just not something I would mess around with.
And so what do you recommend people do with car seats after they expire? Can they be recycled somewhere?
Some cities have some recycling programs. the reality is there are not many. Walmart this past year did a trade-in, a recycling program, and Target has done it for multiple years, but they usually do it twice a year. We don't have the dates yet for this year. So if people want to, have a space to be able to hold on to a car seat to recycle it at one of those events, or have somewhere in their city that is willing to recycle seats, that's fantastic. If not, then when the seat expires, then we need to cut the straps. We need to write expired on it. We need to pull the padding off of it. It should not be set out by the side of the road. If a seat is not safe for your child, it's not safe for any child. So you want to dispose of it where there's no question that this thing should not be used anymore.
So what is your philosophy on buying a used car seat?
I mean, I get it. Like, having kids is pricey. There's a lot of stuff to buy and to have. And the more we can, even in terms of like recycling, the more that we can reuse products, the better. However, a car seat is literally a life-saving device. Its intent is to save your child's life in a crash. So what I tell people is I have this checklist that I use that if you absolutely need to like intimately know the person it's coming from. So we can't go on some random Facebook group or, Craigslist or whatever and purchase a car seat. Just don't do that. So we want to know the history of it, if it's traveled under an airplane, what it's been cleaned with, if there's been any, like gross stuff that's happened in it that hasn't been able to get out. Obviously, if it's expired, we don't even want to, think about it. Knowing the history is critical, and that's why knowing the person that's telling you the history is really important. But in fairness, sometimes we don't even know that we've done something to jeopardize the safety of a car seat. Like maybe it's been cleaned with a product that it is not supposed to be, and we want to pass it on to our mom friend. We're not intentionally not telling them that we cleaned it with something we weren't supposed to because we didn't know we weren't supposed to. So that's where I get a little bit nervous when it comes to used car seats. Just know the person and know the right questions to ask.
Thanks so much for watching part 1 of my interview with Michelle Pratt from Safe in the Seat. Next week, we're going to cover the highly debated topic of car seat accessories. What is safe? What is not? So we're gonna discuss that and dive right into that, plus more that you're not gonna wanna miss. So in the meantime, if you wanna follow Michelle, check her out on Instagram at Safe in the Seat. She posts amazing pictures with tips and all kinds of consults that you can get from her as well. So definitely check it out, and I will see you guys next week for part 2.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Mom Talks with Krista. If you're not yet subscribed, go ahead and click on the subscribe button. It should be down here somewhere. We release new episodes every single Wednesday, and if you're not following us yet, be sure to follow us at Mommy Knows Best on Instagram. And remember, if you're watching this and doubting yourself, you are a great mom. So thanks so much for watching, and we will see you next week.